Welcome to Business Talk, our weekly University of Rio Grande OSU South Center's podcast show. We are here at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Not only are we doing live internet radio through Blog Talk Radio, but we are also live on Jackson Educational Access Channel and Channel 17 University of Rio Grande TV channel. Our podcasts are archived and placed on YouTube for viewing and listening again and again. Our mission is simple: to promote the University of Rio Grande and its diverse educational programs, to promote the Ohio State University South Centers and its many business technology programs, and finally promote various small businesses and economic support organizations, and finally to promote Southern Ohio, a great place to live, learn, and enjoy life to the fullest. Our co-hosts are myself, Jason Winters, Director of the Center for Small Business Entrepreneurship, and Mike Thompson, Instructional Design and Media Services Director, both with the University of Rio Grande. We also have Patrick Dengel, Business Development Specialist, and Kimberly Roush, Program Assistant, both with OSU South Centers. Welcome to our Business Talk this week. Patrick, welcome back.
Hey. Welcome back. It's good to be back, Jason. This week we have a really good featured speaker, and when we finally convinced Dr. Remley to come on, we started eating more healthy.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We had a hot dog and a hamburger for lunch with a bag of chips.
Well, we're not supposed to tell him that. We're supposed to tell him only that we had good.
Well,
good food.
I'm sure it was all beef.
But you're going to balance it with a healthy meal tonight, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Dr. Dan Remley is a assistant professor with the University of Ohio State University. He's also an extension field specialist in the family nutrition and wellness. And he's going to talk a little bit about diabetes, nutritional food plate, healthy cooking skills, importance of physical activity, every one of those things that I do on a constant basis. Dan, welcome. You want to share some personal information about you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I am a father of three. I live in Chillicothe, Ohio, and work at OSU South Centers in Piketon. And actually have been on board there for since March, and came over I was an extension family and consumer science educator in Butler County for 10 years. And prior to that, I was with University of Missouri for 3 years. So I've been with the Extension Service for about 13 years now, and I have a background in public health and nutrition, and my doctorate's in nutrition. I have a master's in public health. I became interested in food, nutrition, wellness probably when I was 20 years old. I was a junior at Miami University, and started experiencing blurred vision, and had some fatigue, and was tired and hungry and thirsty quite a bit, and went to the doctor and found out I had type 1 diabetes. So really had to think about changing my life, actually eating healthier, trying to be more active, and so that's kind of what propelled me into this field. So I've lived with diabetes now for over 20 years now. I haven't had any complications yet. So but anyways, as a field specialist for OSU Extension, I do have state-level responsibilities, and what I do is I develop educational programs that focus on healthy food systems, trying to improve access to healthy foods in some of our rural areas and some of our urban areas, which is a problem. But also I do chronic disease management programs and diabetes education programs, and we're going to talk to you about Dining with Diabetes today, which is an educational program that we offer through the OSU Extension Service. And then finally, I'm doing some work in the area of worksite and school wellness as well. So trying to not only educate individuals that in schools and work sites, but also trying to change those environments so that people can live healthier, eat healthier at work or at school. So we're doing a lot of work to make menus healthier in schools, but also trying to change policies at work sites so that people can be more physically active, have more opportunities for eating healthier, those types of things.
What kind of policy would that be?
At a work site?
Yeah.
Well, for example, allowing more breaks for physical activity, because we're finding a lot of research suggests that what's really important is to avoid the long periods of sitting. That's very detrimental, very, very harmful to our heart and our arteries. So the idea is if you can get up, stand up, walk around every 45 minutes, take that short 5-minute break, get up, get your blood flowing a little bit. That's a very healthy behavior that, especially for those folks that have very sedentary jobs where they're sitting a lot. That's a very important.
That's what I used to have. I used to run TV Master Control,
right, for
12 hours,
mm-hmm.
and get up once for lunch.
Right, and so the idea is to break up those long sitting periods, and actually, that's actually more important to do. Rather, of course, we want to get our 30 minutes most days of the week in of moderate activity. That's the Surgeon General's recommendation for physical activity. But the real important thing is to break up those long sedentary periods where we sit.
Dan, you mentioned you were at Miami University when you discovered that you had diabetes.
Right.
We have a lot of students that are listening to our program today. They may be in the cafeteria or in their dorm rooms and areas.
Mm-hmm.
What is diabetes for our listeners, and
Sure.
how did it happen to you in college? Because usually we think of that as being, and I hate to use the word, but an old person's disease.
Yes, and many times, 95% of the cases of diabetes are what we call adult onset. And so 5% of the cases are juvenile onset, which is what I have. In the adult form of diabetes, what happens usually is that your pancreas is producing insulin, but your body isn't using the insulin, or the insulin isn't working very well. In the juvenile onset, for whatever reason, your pancreas isn't producing insulin. But in either case, what happens is we have elevated blood sugars, chronic elevated blood sugars, and that's very, very harmful to our organs, our kidneys and our eyes, our nervous system, our cardiovascular system. So if diabetes is not managed and we don't get those blood sugars under control, then we can see, we may develop some of those complications. And kidney disease, for example, very, very costly to manage and treat, and it really does impact people's quality of life, especially if you have to go, get on dialysis once or twice a week. That's something that we can prevent or delay if we do develop diabetes, and that's we manage the blood sugar through physical activity, through medications, and through our diets. Those are the 3 ways to manage diabetes.
So both the type 1 and type 2, are they treated the same, and they just have different reasons for coming about?
They are pharmacologically, often they're treated differently. With the adult onset, most of the time you're going to be prescribed some pills, whereas juvenile diabetes, you'll be taking insulin either through an injection or through an insulin pump. And I can dig it out of my pocket here if I can get through my wallet and my other junk in my pockets, but I can show you what mine looks like. I'll hold up the camera there, but this is a diabetes pump, and it gives me, it continuously pumps insulin into my body, and then when I eat, I'll take a little bit more insulin to cover the carbohydrates. So that's kind of how it works. But some people will take shots too.
So it's a metabolic thing, not a digestive thing.
Well, right. It's metabolic, okay. And even people with adult onset diabetes or the type 2, a lot of times they'll start out taking pills and then they'll have to take shots as well, because what happens is your body keeps producing insulin, and then eventually your pancreas more or less dies out, and you have to take insulin. So we'll see that in a lot of cases as well.
Now, do both types of diabetes slow healing? I know that's a big problem.
Yes, and so a person with diabetes, for example, they develop a condition known as neuropathy. And so in their extremities, like their feet and their fingers, they may not feel a wound. And so it's very important if people have diabetes, they should check their feet, like when they're in the shower every day, just to make sure there's not a wound on their feet and it's not festering. And so it's important too to talk to your doctor to make sure that you don't have the neuropathy. Sometimes the doctor will take a little needle or something and poke around at your foot and just make sure that you can feel that little needle, that little brush. But neuropathy is a big problem, and in some cases, if people are not checking their feet, they have a wound, it gets infected, they may have to have a extremity amputated. So in some cases, people develop neuropathy and they'll experience sort of a stinging sensation on their feet. But if you have diabetes and you're experiencing that, the doctors can prescribe medicines for that.
I'm just curious if diabetes is a medical condition that we have developed just recently, or has this been a problem throughout all ages?
Like in 1850s, would they have just?
Yeah.
It's like, well, he died. I don't know.
Didn't know as much about it back then, and a lot of times it would just people would say, "Oh, I haven't touched the sugar." That's kind of the how people would say that. But it's been around. It's become more of a problem because there's a lot more obese and overweight individuals, and so it is associated with overweight and obese. Now, you don't have to be overweight and obese to develop diabetes. It is a hereditary component to it as well. But if you are overweight and you are obese, what happens is that your body is not as efficient because you have more adipose tissue, more fat cells, and they do not use insulin as effectively, and you have probably less muscle mass as well. Muscle mass is the most efficient tissue in the body, so the more muscle mass you have, the more efficient your body is going to be at using insulin. So it's been around for a while, but we're seeing the rates go up because of the increasing overweight and obesity problem that we have in this country today.
Yeah, lifestyle choices, being sedentary and fast food.
Right, and people are living longer too. And doctors have told me that if you live long enough, you're probably going to develop diabetes. And so with our Dining with Diabetes classes that we offer through OSU Extension, we do see a lot of elderly people come through the program and are trying to change habits and lifestyle.
So with the Dying with Diabetes and changing lifestyle, what are like general guidelines? Is there anything generally that you can do?
Well, we promote what we call the Idaho plate method, and with that, what we're trying to encourage people to do is think about their plates, and half of the plate should be a non-starchy vegetable, so either like broccoli or lettuce, carrots, not potatoes, not corn, not peas, something that's a vegetable that's non-starchy. That should be about half of our plate.
And you got to watch another thing, the size of plates. I mean, when we bought some plates for our house,
you got the garbage can size, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they were huge.
The lids. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
especially if you go to restaurants. Restaurant plates are huge as well, and
Right.
bigger portion sizes. Yeah.
So these are
That's a good
medium
point.
or small size plates. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
right. So yeah, we're talking 2 dimensions here, but we do need to think about the 3 dimensions as well. So you don't want to pile up your plate with a
Yeah, Thanksgiving is
buffet.
coming up.
Yeah. And buffets are a dangerous thing too, because we have that much food in front of us, we're going to eat more typically.
Well, you
So
want to get your money's worth.
you want to get your money's worth. That's right. So try not to
I
eat
don't
at
want to pay
buffets.
$7 for a buffet and have a salad.
Yep. And a lot of us grew up in the clean plate club too.
Right.
Our parents, we couldn't leave the table unless we ate everything on our food, and nutritionists aren't necessarily encouraging that anymore. Eat until you're moderately full, and just push aside the rest. You go to a restaurant, eat half of what they offer you, what you get, if you can do that. So
I don't
Save
think
it
that
for
was a
another
club when I was growing up. I think that was a mandate. Mom
Yeah.
said, clean your plate or you're going to sit there.
right.
Now, is it true that if you eat slower, you
Yes.
don't want as much?
Right. Because when you eat slower, you're more in touch with your fullness, and it takes a while for your brain to say, "Hey, I've had enough food." And now my family, we have a tendency to eat faster, so I have a tendency to eat fast, wolf down the food,
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right, Pat. We want to slow down.
Think
How
about
fast
just
we eat.
enjoying your food.
Right, and using all of our senses,
Hmm.
our smell and our taste, and how the texture. Really, the French are very good at this. You know, they take their time and they have long meals and they really savor all the flavors. Now, I can't smell, so I lost my sense of smelling about 5 years ago. So
Was that because of diabetes?
I don't know why.
Okay, so you said what? Half a plate of vegetables?
Non-starchy vegetables.
Okay.
So not potatoes, not corn, but like lettuce and broccoli, carrots, those types of things.
And then
Half a plate.
What's the other?
plate.
What's the other part?
Well, about a quarter could be a starch, so like a bread or rice or something like that, and then the other quarter can be meat. Now, a serving of meat is 3 ounces, and that's the size of a deck of cards. That's not a 12-ounce steak. that's 3 decks of cards, but just 1 deck of cards is a serving of meat. And we really do need to eat. Meat is wonderful. It has protein that we need to build, repair muscle. It's good for our immune system. We get vitamins and minerals, but we don't need that much meat. And we really need to eat less meat in this country. We eat way too much meat. And so I think a quarter of your plate should be a protein or meat. And you can substitute beans with meat as well. So,
How about alcohol? You know, we were talking about going to the winery and maybe having spaghetti or whatever.
Yeah.
Wine, beer,
And
all that kind of thing.
isn't wine heart healthy? Doesn't it have the antioxidants that your heart needs?
Sure. Yes, but you can get antioxidants through grape juice, for example. A lot of colorful berries, for example, are very high in antioxidants. The issue with alcohol is calories. It does, and a lot of times if you drink before a meal, you have a tendency to eat a little bit more too. And with diabetes, for example, what happens is if you drink too much, it actually, and you're taking medications, what can happen is that our liver produces glucose, and what happens is alcohol shuts down our liver production of glucose, and so we can actually have a low blood sugar if we drink too much. So we have to be careful. Another thing with alcohol, beers and wines, they do contribute to carbohydrates, and so light beers are better than the regular beers. So, for example, if you don't take enough medicine, you're drinking wine or beer, you can elevate your blood sugar. So drinking too much alcohol can produce a low blood sugar, but in moderation it can actually raise your blood sugar too. So just something to think about. It's kind of a complex answer, but
I know that
So do you stay away from alcohol yourself, or?
no, I drink in moderation. But
So do you have to
on the
adjust
weekends.
your?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit more insulin when I have a beer or two.
Okay.
But I try to avoid any more than 2 servings of alcohol
Right.
per day. So
just out of curiosity, I know that you have a family of young ones
Yes.
that are going
Yep.
to school, and I know that each school has their own nutritious plan. Does it sort of fit in with what you feel is important when children go to school systems? Are they eating healthy?
they're getting a lot better with their menus, and there's new dietary guidelines. Actually, Ohio State University has done some work with schools and their dietary guidelines. The new ones have just come out, so they're trying to offer healthier choices in the school cafeterias. And I think another really good thing they've done is getting rid of, or at least restricting the pop machines, the vending machines. Soda pop has been very detrimental to the health of our children. Just drinking way too much juice and regular pop. 12-ounce can of pop has 10 teaspoons of sugar, so and that's empty calories.
And the latest thing that's been in the news is energy drinks
Again, same issue, very very high calorie.
and high
So yeah,
caffeine levels.
and high caffeine. Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly what taurine is.
Taurine?
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. That's another thing that they put into
Yeah.
energy drinks.
And yeah, a lot of these substances are unregulated, so we really don't know, if they work or not. What the long-term impact might be. But yeah, it all contributes empty calories. So we need to consume these products in moderation, for sure.
And you had mentioned that using herbs and spices can lower sodium
Yes, yeah.
consumption.
Sure. Herbs and spices, hot sauces, you can lower your sodium in recipes and add a little bit more of these spices, and
not including soy sauce. That's another sodium.
Oh,
soy sauce. There are lighter soy sauces which are better.
Right, but I'm just saying, Americans use salt, and the Oriental people use soy sauce for the same reason.
Right, and the big issue with the table salt's not really the issue. It's the hidden salts and processed foods that we really need to keep track of, and it's good for consumers to be aware of the food labels when they go to the grocery store, especially with convenience foods and things like that. To really
even canned foods.
Canned foods can be.
After I had my heart problem, we read the labels of everything.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so, canned anything is being preserved more or less by salt.
Yeah, and that's even true of fresh foods. I know just as a canner, we grow our own fresh vegetables and we can beans and corn and tomatoes. But when you're doing that, you're adding 2 tablespoons of salt to each quart.
That's
so
a lot.
That while it's so when you go to cook with that later, you don't need to add any salt to it.
Right.
And you can one thing you can do is you can drain your canned foods, put it in a drainer, and it's a good practice to get into.
Yeah, we just buy frozen anymore. And then another good thing that we did is go to every fast food restaurant website and look at their nutrition facts.
Yep.
You can download a PDF and you can see what their nutrition facts are.
Yeah, and there's really some good websites. One is called Calorie King, and you can get on there and it spits out. You look up any restaurant, you'll see the menu. You can look at any menu item. It'll tell you what the nutrition information. So you look at carbohydrate, you look at sodium. Another thing I like about this website, it also tells you how many calories it would take to burn off that food, what you need to do in terms of physical activity to burn off that hamburger.
And and not
so I think for something from one of the major restaurants, you think you're ordering like a healthy roll up. It turns out it's about 1,000 calories, and how many minutes. It shows you how many minutes of jogging and walking you'd have to do to burn that.
And just because you're getting chicken over the hamburger doesn't mean it's healthier. And even a lot of the salads, the prepared salads can be high in calories and sodium.
Yep.
Because I did all this research after I had that.
Yeah.
The chicken over the hamburger has more sodium than the hamburger does. The hamburger may have more fat.
It's a lot of times it's injected preservatives. That's how they make that chicken taste good. That's why it's juicy and it's flavorful. They do add a lot of sodium. You are probably better off ordering the grilled rather than the fried. When there are some things you can do to cut down on your calories and your fat. But, you're right about the sodium. It's hard to eat out and order low sodium foods because a lot of them do have.
Or you could call your local farmer and buy farm fresh chickens and farm fresh cows.
But when you're on the road, it's hard to do. On the way home from the hospital, I thought, where can we stop? I'm hungry. So I thought, let's stop at Chipotle and have beans, chicken, and rice. How bad could that be? So I got a bean, chicken, rice burrito. And then I went home. I got on the website. The wrap alone has 800 milligrams of sodium. And as a person with a heart problem, you're shooting for 1,500.
Right, that's the dash.
So that wrap is half of it.
Another good tool is for them. If any of you have iPhones, there's an app called Fooducate, Fooducate, and it's free download app. And you can actually scan barcodes on grocery store products, and it'll tell you the nutrition information. And I think you can also use it for fast food as well.
Put in perspective for me, when you say 1,500 milligrams of salt, what size is that?
It's about a half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon.
Like if I used to really like pot pies.
Oh yeah.
We're talking
pot pies. Oh, I'm hungry now.
And like Zatarans or whatever,
yeah.
the prepared meals.
Yeah.
We're talking between 2,000 and 3,000 milligrams. I'm destroyed for the day.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from it. It really is.
So the thing, and the first few weeks after we tried to eat healthy, it took us 2 hours in the store just reading everything, going, holy moly, what the heck?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, hot dogs. That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Really, hot dogs are bad?
Yeah, hot dogs are bad.
Yeah, processed meats.
Sausage was my major food
lunch
group.
meats, and not only salt but also nitrates. They're linked with cancers and that type of thing. So, really, and that's one of my personal goals is to cut back on the processed meats.
So your family, your wife obviously follows quite well all the different nutritional recommendations.
Well, we all have our challenges, and I struggle with certain things. My wife struggles with other things, and we're just like everybody else trying to make it through in this obesogenic environment. And I'm finding over the years it's just getting harder and harder to maintain weight. And
yeah.
I take more insulin than I used to. It's energy levels drop, your metabolism drops. It's harder getting older, that's for sure.
Well, and that's one of the things that you were indicating, the importance of physical activity. I'm going to throw something out to you. When we teach classes,
mm-hmm.
and the classes go longer than 45 minutes, I truly believe the students need to get up for 10 minutes, walk around.
Oh, I agree.
And oftentimes when we're involved in meetings or extended educational programs, you are sitting there for an hour and a half,
mm-hmm.
2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're right. And we've actually, in extension, we've started to have standing meetings. So
standing meetings.
Standing meetings. Now, you don't want to do it. You don't want to have people stand for more than a half an hour, but research suggests that if you have these standing meetings, you cut down your meeting times by about 20 minutes. Because you're standing, you're more efficient. You want to get done quicker. It's less kind of small talk.
You're not relaxing. I could sit here all day. And if you're standing, you're like, let's get moving, do something.
And Ohio State University is trying to be the healthiest campus in the United States now, and so they're trying to do more standing meetings and trying to get the students up and moving more often. And so it'll be interesting to see. Bern Melnick is she's the dean of nursing the nursing school, and she's head of the wellness. She coordinates the wellness initiative for President Gee and Ohio State University. So she's really encouraging these standing meetings. Burn more calories. You avoid those sedentary periods that we talked about earlier. So
is that why we had to run from our car into the studio? Is that why?
I know professors that put their desk on props so they can stand at their desk.
Yeah.
And like in the studio,
mm-hmm.
they do make studio furniture that you stand at, and editing desks that you can stand
And Julie
at.
Fox, who works at OSU South Centers, our direct marketing specialist, she stands up when she types.
Yes.
And she doesn't have a chair in her office, and I think that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We only have
a minute and a half.
A minute and a half. What have we not covered?
Well, probably My Plate is a USDA website, and if you haven't visited the USDA, choosemyplate.org, and it talks a little bit about what we were talking about earlier about how to prepare healthy meals. It has a lot of nutrition tips, but it's a very powerful tool because you can get on, enter your personal information, how active you are, your age, those types of things, and whether or not you're trying to lose weight or maintain weight, and it'll actually calculate a nutrition plan for you, or a physical activity plan, or a calorie plan, depending on kind of what your goals are. And it allows you to keep track of your goals, set goals. It's really a pretty neat site. There's a lot of information on it, but there is also a lot of apps too for, if you want to lose weight or maintain weight, or if you have nutrition goals, you can use these apps. Some of them we mentioned, like the Fujicate, but there's others where you can set personalized goals, keep track of your goals. It really, it's a whole new frontier a lot of tools and resources for us.
And a lot of times, having a group will keep you in check.
Yes, yeah.
If you surround yourself with people that have
accountability
like goals, right?
Any Weight Watchers is very popular, but there's other programs as well. YMCA's have programs.
Or you can start a thing in your office.
Or you can start something in your office and start a wellness committee in your office. There's Extension offers an online fitness challenge called Live Healthy, Live Well, and so if you have a business and you'd like to start a wellness initiative at your business, you can give me a call or give somebody at Extension a call, and we can work with you.
And what would that number be if someone wanted to contact you?
Oh gosh,
740-289-2071, and your extension is
214.
214. So that's 740-289-2071.
And in the world of technology, your email would be
remley.4@osu.edu.
REMLEY .4.
The number.
Thank you.
at osu.edu. Dan, it has been a pleasure having you on. You inspire us to be more healthy.
Well, thank you.
Now, whether we carry through with that, but you do bring some very good points about our health is our business, and if we want to maintain our healthiness, we have to put in a little bit extra effort, huh?
Mike, I'm a little upset. I've been trying to inspire health in Pat for 3 years now, and all it takes is Dan to come on the show and he's inspired.
Well, when I met Pat, you were out and outside and
getting fresh air is what he was doing.
Yeah, right. Getting fresh air and
walking that.
He says,
10 minutes.
He says, Dan, what do you do? Well, I'm in public health, and I think you gave me a second look over.
Oh my gosh, one of those people.
Yeah, you don't know how important your health is until you don't have it.
That's right.
You're absolutely right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Dan, I want to very much thank you. Hope that you will come back.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
We have some interesting guests coming up. Stay tuned. I'm Patrick.
I'm Jason.
I'm Mike, and thanks for watching.
And I'm Dan.
I'm Dan.